Wildfires rage on in Southern California. How UW-Madison students from that area are feeling the impact as their holiday break winds down.
Plus, less than a month after the Abundant Life school shooting, what the governor is doing about gun violence and how Republicans are responding. And we'll meet a group from Watertown celebrating 14 years of kindness, how they're helping those in need. You're watching News 3 now at 5. Thanks for staying with us at 5, everyone. Locked in a very cold weather pattern, hoping for some relief. Meteorologist Alex Harrington, you're inside. That's a wise choice today.
Yes, it is. When I'm inside, that usually means you probably don't want to spend too much time outside. But to your question there, in our forecast, it'll eventually make its way into southern Wisconsin, but not before 12 right now. Wind chill is 12. At least the winds have calmed down out there, and this is below normal. Remember, normal highs are in the mid to upper 20s for this time of January. Planning our evening, wind chills. Look at those bottom numbers, getting down into the single digits below zero as we go beyond our 6 o'clock newscast and head towards our 10 o'clock newscast. Right now, it's as cold feeling as -5, -4 up towards Marquette, Green Lake, Juneau, and Adams counties. We got that warm spot at 12, and that's just because our winds have temporarily gotten a little bit lighter in Madison. Coming up in Maine weather, we will track the wind chills for tomorrow morning, but also enter a little bit of snow, the price we pay for snow for warmer weather, and just how cold those wind chills you can expect with that next blast early next week of Arctic air. I got all of those answers coming up.
All right, Alex, thank you. New into the newsroom, the 2 patients who were in critical but stable condition at UW Health following the Abundant Life Christian school shooting are now reported as being in good condition. UW Health says they do not plan to offer any further updates to respect their privacy. Culver says it has raised a total of $165,000 for the victims of the Abundant Life shooting. The fast food chain donated 25% of all proceeds from the evening of January 6th. On that night, some locations saw cars parked for nearly a mile waiting to support the cause. 80 locations from all over the state joined in. The co-founder Craig Culver says, quote, "When our communities need a place to gather to rally around neighbors in need, we are extremely proud to welcome them." The Monona Grove School District says a threat made by a student was not credible. However, it is still raising concerns from parents asking for more transparency from the district. News 3 Now's Kyle Pozorski has been following the developments in this story all day and joins us now with the details. Kyle?
Well, good evening. The district spokesperson is telling us that a photo was posted on social media which included a threat to a school within the district. And like you said, they believe it was not credible. However, Monona police were contacted and the district's student resource officers investigated this threat. According to the district, the parents of these students directly involved in the incident were contacted. However, others were not. We were informed by uninvolved district parents with concerns that they had not been informed, especially in light of the December shooting at Abundant Life Christian School. The district tonight is telling us, quote, "We can assure you that any student found responsible for making threats of violence will face consequences." They further tell us they cannot go into details on those consequences or the student due to privacy laws. As for why more parents weren't informed, they tell us the district is focused on impact when choosing what information to communicate with families and when. There is a community safety meeting scheduled for February 13th. The district says it is aimed at talking to parents about policies regarding possible threats, and that meeting had been organized prior to this incident.
Kyle, thank you. In Mazomanie, a student was struck by a vehicle after school yesterday. It happened at Wisconsin Heights High School, and shortly after, the district made a post on Facebook pointing out that student services, the school and leadership teams worked together to navigate the situation. In an update from the Dane County Sheriff's Office, the 14-year-old student that was hit by the vehicle was med-flighted to UW Hospital, but their injuries are not considered life-threatening. It's officially been a week since several wildfires erupted in Los Angeles. So far, the area burned by the Palisades, Eaton, and Hearst fires is more than 38,000 acres. Our Ellie La Liberté shows us how those around the country, including UW-Madison students and alumni, have been impacted.
Clementine and Riley Harris have lived in their home in the San Fernando Valley for 15 years. Riley graduated from UW-Madison in May, and his younger sister Clementine is a freshman. Their home is just about 5 miles away from where one of the fires slowed down.
Where you just see like a giant red glow and smoke is just coming up over the hill.
Riley and Clementine Harris's story is one like many others in LA right now, full of uncertainty.
You could see the fire and you could see kind of what was being, burned.
Evacuating their childhood home.
We decided to get out of there and we went to our grandparents' house who live in Calabasas.
And like many others, preparing for the worst.
We packed a go bag. We had our valuables, we had our identity documents, clothes, all that kind of stuff. So when the time came to really leave, we felt prepared. Knowing they could potentially lose everything. I know Clementine went around and took some videos, and we all kind of looked around the house before leaving and just being like, well, this is it. Like, we had a good run. During those moments of uncertainty, the UW-Madison community ready to help, like Clementine's sorority sisters.
So many of my sisters ended up asking me how I was and just checking in, and if my family needed to, it's an extreme measure, but if my family needed to fly out to another state and stay with them, they were offering. It just felt really great to have folks checking on me.
Supporting no matter the distance.
People are really coming together and helping each other.
The siblings have returned to their home, and according to CAL FIRE, the Hearst fire is at a 97% containment, the Eaton fire 35%, and the Palisades fire is just at 17% contained.
Ellie, thank you. Since the fire started, 200,000 people have received evacuation orders. If you're looking for a way to help those in California, we have a link to donate to the Red Cross on our website, channel3000.com.
A constitutional amendment is now heading to the ballot this April on whether to amend the state constitution to require ID at the polls. The measure is already a part of state law, but would be added to the Constitution. That would make it harder for courts or future lawmakers to overturn the law. Republicans argue the amendment strengthens election security, while critics say it could create barriers for voters who face challenges obtaining IDs, particularly in underserved communities.
Former Fox News host Pete Hegseth is the first of President-elect Donald Trump's cabinet picks to head to Capitol Hill for Senate confirmation hearings. Hegseth is Trump's pick for Secretary of Defense. During questioning, lawmakers probed allegations of excessive drinking, sexual misconduct, and financial mismanagement of a veterans advocacy group. Hegseth denied the allegations and says he can lead the Defense Department with no outside influence.
He believes, and I humbly agree, that it's time to give someone with dust on his boots the helm. A change agent, someone with no vested interest in certain companies or specific programs or approved narratives. My only special interest is the warfighter.
The committee is expected to approve Hegseth's nomination for a full Senate vote, but some Republican senators have yet to confirm whether or not they will vote for him when that time comes.
At the Wisconsin Capitol, Governor Tony Evers today took executive action on gun control.
Political reporter Will Keneally has the latest.
We're a little less than a month after the deadly shooting at Abundant Life Christian School in Madison, and Governor Evers today creating a new state agency, the Office of Violence Prevention.
After hundreds of other shootings, politicians offered only empty thoughts and prayers. Thank you, Governor Evers, for being the exception and taking decisive action today.
That action to create a statewide Office of Violence Prevention. The governor says it will help connect resources like grants between state and local agencies.
I've said from the beginning that I would never accept gun violence as a foregone reality or stop working to change it, and that's why we're here today.
To start, the governor is putting $10 million in federal pandemic aid into the program. It would be up to the Republican legislature to approve long-term funding for the office.
It takes a bureaucrat to think that another government agency is actually going to be effective.
Assembly Speaker Robin Vos was skeptical after the announcement.
Do you know what the most effective violence prevention office is? The police. So I think what we need to do is to increase funding for our police and public safety services, not create a whole bunch of touchy-feely bureaucrats that are going to go around wasting time, wasting money.
The governor is putting forward this agency as well as a series of gun control bills that he's promising to fold into the state budget.
Would this be a deal breaker? Would you veto the budget if Republicans take this out?
Oh, there's probably a whole bunch of things that might be. That might be one of them. We have an opportunity here to do the right thing for the people of Wisconsin, and I'm hopeful that the Republicans feel as strongly about these issues as I do.
And we're expecting that budget process to kick off next month. Reporting from the state capitol, Will Keneally, News 3 Now.
The city of Madison has wrapped up its first phase for a portion of the State Street Campus Garage mixed-use project. The housing development partner says it'll now start on the second phase of the project, building hundreds of units of housing on top of the parking garage. The new building will have over 400 parking spaces, 213 student housing units, and have 100 beds set aside as affordable for qualifying students.
The city has an emphasis right now on doing what we can to help produce more housing. And so looking to increase the density of downtown, this housing specifically for students. But in general, that's just a priority of the city, is to increase the housing. So we utilized our space the best we could.
Now, the project is expected to be complete in the summer of 2026 and available for students in fall of that year as well.
This year's final deadline to sign up for health insurance through the Affordable Care Act is tomorrow. Recently, Wisconsin set a record with over 306,000 residents enrolling as of 10 days ago. That's according to new numbers from the federal government. If you're looking for coverage, visit coveringwi.org or WISCcovered.com.
Well, this month is International Brain Teaser Month, and experts with SSM Health say that puzzles, games, and challenges keep your mind sharp as you age. SSM Health neuropsychologist Dr. Diana Vandekreek says things like learning a new language or solving puzzles keep our brain pathways active and intact. She likens it to maintaining a highway system. If it's not used, it can deteriorate, leading to memory issues or even dementia.
It doesn't matter how old you are. You could be 85 years old and you can start doing puzzles or crosswords. You'll still benefit. Obviously, the earlier that we can start doing these things and keeping our brain essentially working throughout our lives, the stronger and more resilient it will be.
She says that whether you do 5 minutes a week, a day, or 5 hours, you should be challenging your brain in fun ways.
Chief Meteorologist Alex Harrington is up next with a complete look at our forecast. We'll see when we might get out of the polar plunge here.
Yeah. And Crafting Kindness, a group in Watertown, making a difference, knitting special items for those in need for 14 years now. And on Wall Street today, the Dow Jones Industrial Average adds another 221 points, and NASDAQ loses almost 44. S&P adds about 7. We'll be right back.
You're watching News 3 Now at 5.
A group of crafters in Watertown are celebrating their 14th year of spreading kindness to people across Wisconsin.
The Caring Crafters, as they're called, mostly consist of older adults putting together knitted products like washcloths, chemo hats, and blankets. Part of what the group does is providing blankets to struggling veterans through the Heat and Housing for Heroes initiative, doing so because they saw a need to help out.
Because we know it's appreciated, we know there's a need for these things, and we can fill the need. And it gives us a satisfaction and a joy to know that if somebody needs a chemo hat, we can take care of that for them, or somebody needs a blanket, we can take care of that for them.
And the group consists of about 40 different volunteers. They tell us that while it can sometimes be hard for people to find ways to help out in their communities, even a small thing like knitting makes a difference.
Everybody wants to help in some way, but they don't know how to start. This is, even if you do just something small, you can get things out there and make a big difference.
The group meets in the basement of the Watertown Senior Center, and they're always looking for yarn. You can help them make a difference by donating. You can also directly help struggling veterans by contacting the Keeping Wisconsin Warm Cool Fund. A full look now at your first warn forecast. Chief Meteorologist Alex Harrington has the complete story.
Story includes wind chills, snow, a big warm up, and then a big cool down. Let's get all to it here. Wind chills out there right now. You probably wonder, what am I stepping out to yet this evening? Feels like 12 in Madison. That's because we have no wind right now. You need the wind to have a wind chill, but as cold feeling as -7 in Camp Douglas and hanging on to 0. Was just talking to our radio friends at WCLO, and they're talking about the cold too on their radio station. Planning our evening tonight, the actual air temperatures single digits, the actual, or I should say the feels like factor in the single digits below 0. That's what you're preparing for when you step outside. So not quite as dangerously cold as what we've been experiencing the past couple of days. And I'll help break that down here as we go on into Wednesday. We're going to be right between 0 and -10 below at 8 o'clock in the morning across southern Wisconsin. That's in that cautionary range. Then we work our way up just into the uncomfortably cold range if you are going to plan any outdoor activities tomorrow. A little bit bit better of a day to do that. Still, you might want to decide to take a break if you're going to be out for prolonged periods of time. Come in, warm up, and then go back outside if you still need to do that in the afternoon hours as those wind chills start to improve. Part of the additional improvement is temperatures actually getting into the lower 20s for a change. So we're going to make some improvement there. The sun out for most of the day. Clouds will be on the increase, though, out ahead of this little weak weather system that's part of a push of warm air towards southern Wisconsin. Snow to the northwest of Madison, and I should say scattered. This shouldn't be a widespread or a heavy snow by any stretch of the imagination. Scattered snow showers, 8 o'clock, Madison, Lone Rock, Dells, over towards Beaver Dam. And it's out of here by our 10 o'clock newscast tomorrow night. Amounts dusting, maybe a half inch at most, and it takes just a little bit, as we know, to cause some of those accidents. So just take it easy. If it's snowing, just know that it could cause a couple of slick spots on area roadways. Here we go for the other part of our weather story. The roller coaster ride up to the very top at 41 before we take a big crash and quickly. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, we're in the depth of an Arctic grip, and wind chill values are going to be very cold during that time period. That's why yesterday we decided we're going to already, with the confidence out there, call next Monday and Tuesday way in advance as alert day conditions. Could be looking at wind chills between minus 25 to minus 30. During our 6 o'clock newscast, I'll give you a glimpse of how cold you can expect the wind chills in your neighborhood, but it's going to be in that range of minus 25 to minus 30 across southern Wisconsin. So warm up we go by Friday after that little bit of snow Wednesday night and early Thursday to the Arctic grips as we go Sunday, Monday into Tuesday. We moderate with those temperatures getting back up into the 20s by the end of next week. So get ready for that roller coaster ride across southern Wisconsin. Quick traffic glimpse here right now. It's just US 12 eastbound a little bit slow, but that's to be expected at 5 o'clock at night. Janesville right now, you probably got the heater cranked in the car. Temperatures, I did that again. Here, it's the speed limit that we're talking about here, Alex, with traffic, but things are going at a good clip, and the speeds are at the 70-mile-per-hour range. Eastbound on 90 up by the Dells, but you probably got if you got a car seat warmer on right now, you probably have that on too, and the heat cranked.
All right, Alex, thank you. Just ahead, an update on recreational marijuana use in Minnesota. The market was supposed to open up there this month. Where things stand right now, next at 5.
You're watching News 3 Now at 5.
What's called an expedited comment period opened today for recreational marijuana in Minnesota.
But how close are we to actually seeing cannabis businesses open up in Minnesota? Jason Rantala reports.
Nearly 2 years since legal cannabis passed the Minnesota legislature, a public comment period opened Monday. That's a far cry from the original goal, getting the recreational market up and running this month.
I can't imagine that they'll be able to issue licenses before the end of the year.
Now, Mark Curran, a Minnesota state senator and a former co-chair of the Medicinal Cannabis Task Force, says he believes the marketplace won't even be ready by the end of this year. Curran says that's due to a judge's ruling that halted the cannabis lottery following several lawsuits.
Now they have to complete the rulemaking process, which they're in. They won't likely complete that for the next 4, 5, maybe 6 months.
But Minnesota Attorney Carol Moss is more optimistic.
We are on the path to have dispensaries open later this year.
Moss specializes in cannabis law and serves on the governor's Cannabis Advisory Council. She says while there have been roadblocks, the path for small businesses to receive licenses once the laws are drawn up is still running smoothly. It's large businesses, the ones tied up in the lawsuits, that may see some hiccups.
Those micro businesses can start getting seeds in the ground in a couple of months, and we can start seeing stores within the end of the year.
Last month, the Office of Cannabis Management acknowledged the hurdles.
This is going to be a slower rollout,
but said the first cannabis businesses could just be months away from sprouting up.
But I do think that this is a situation that can be very beneficial to our industry in the long run.
Jason Rantala, WCCO News.
We'll have a final check of the weather when we come back.
Coming up tonight on the CBS Evening News, Pete Hegseth's fiery confirmation hearings. Trump's pick to lead the Department of Defense pressed on allegations of infidelity, alcohol abuse, and disparaging comments about women in the military. We've got that and more headlines tonight right here on the CBS Evening News.
Well, this bitterly cold weather will help extend the life of a winter tourism masterpiece in the Northwoods.
This is pretty exciting if you've ever seen it before. For the first time in 4 years, the Ice Castle has returned to Eagle River. Have you ever seen it, Alex?
I've never seen it.
Oh, it's so beautiful.
My gosh.
It is a work of art that draws thousands of visitors to the area. The way they do it is a fascinating story. They cut blocks of ice from Silver Lake, and then they construct the castle at the historic railroad depot near downtown Eagle River, and then they light it up at night. It's so beautiful. This year's castle features 2,000 blocks of ice. They each weigh about 90 pounds. It's really worth seeing, and hopefully it will draw people up north because they're having a tough season with
It looked like they had
there.
snow on the ground, though, and I know that's a big snowmobiling area,
Yeah.
and I know there's hockey tournaments that go on, so they rely on winter sports. Around here, we got a little snow last night.
Little bit by little
but
bit.
It's the cold makes it so cold you can barely go out and enjoy the
snow. This cold weather is really not going anywhere anytime soon, even through the end of the month, which is good for areas up north with the castle, but not for folks anywhere in the upper Midwest with the bitter cold. We've got another bitter cold snap on the way for southern Wisconsin, not before we get to 40 by Friday. That just is strange to me. But then we swing all the way down, temperatures all the way down to the single digits. That's all we're going to do for highs early next week. You add a little wind, we're looking at wind chills as cold as 30 below zero at 6. I'm going to show you how cold those wind chills could be in your neighborhood come Monday morning, and it will last into Tuesday morning as well. There we see that roller coaster ride, 41 by Friday, 3 by Monday. That's the actual air temperature, 5 by Tuesday. And as we were just saying, no snow, really no snow in the forecast. A little bit we'll track again at 6 for tomorrow night, but that's just going to be a dusting at most for snow in southern Wisconsin. And I'm not seeing any big snowstorms anytime soon going out into the future. Just the on and off roller coaster ride that we've been on for a while.
Wild swings, 40 to 3 is an incredible drop.
It's extraordinary. Believe it or not, the Arctic regions where this cold air usually resides, there are parts of our Arctic regions that are really, really warm right now, and that destabilizes, that breaks up the cold, and then you get these chunks, so to speak, of cold air that swing down into our part of the woods.
Really been an unusual winter so far. Alex, thanks. We're back in 30 minutes for News 3 Now at 6. Stay tuned now for the CBS Evening News.